the most American Halloween special ever made premiered in Canada first. On October 26, 1966, Canadian kids watched Linus sit in that pumpkin patch a full 24 hours before American audiences even knew what hit them. CBC television aired it before CBS got their turn on October 27th. In an era when US networks guarded their content like Fort Knox gold, this was basically unheard of. But that strange beginning was just the start of something much bigger. This 25-minute cartoon about a kid waiting for a mythical god deity would become the first Halloween special to ever air on television. Not the first animated Halloween special. Not the first primetime Halloween special. The first Halloween special, period. Before 1966, Halloween on television basically didn't exist. Just occasional sitcom episodes where characters wore store-bought costumes for 30 seconds. Charles Schulz and producer Lee Mendelsohn took a massive gamble that kids would tune in for a contemplative autumn story instead of cowboy reruns. The gamble paid off in ways nobody could have predicted. Within weeks of that first broadcast, mailrooms at CBS and the animation studio were drowning in candy, real candy. Snickers bars, Milky Ways, candy corn, and probably a few questionable homemade popcorn balls that would terrify modern parents. Children across America had watched Charlie Brown get rocks in his trick or treat bag and responded by raiding their own Halloween stashes to help him out. This wasn't fan mail with misspelled compliments. It was a full-blown sympathy campaign organized by second graders who couldn't stand seeing Chuck suffer. The emotional impact went deeper than anyone expected. At the 19th Primetime Emmy Awards in 1967, the special earned 2 major nominations: Outstanding Children's Program and Special Classifications of Individual Achievements. These weren't consolation categories for kiddie shows. They put this 25-minute cartoon in direct competition with big-budget network productions. While it didn't take home the gold that night, the Academy went with safer choices. The nominations proved that critics recognized what audiences already felt in their bones. This wasn't just entertainment to keep children quiet. It was legitimate art wrapped in cell animation and jazz piano. Speaking of that jazz piano, here's where the story gets almost impossible to believe. October 4th, 1966, Vince Guaraldi and his sextet walked into Desilu's Gower Street studio in Hollywood, the same studio where I Love Lucy was filmed. They had 8 hours, 1 workday. That's all they got to record the entire score. Those haunting piano riffs that you associate with autumn, with falling leaves and crisp October air, were created in a single marathon session. Guaraldi didn't just compose music that day, he bottled the feeling of Halloween itself. The walls that once echoed with Lucille Ball's comedic genius became the birthplace of one of the most iconic soundtracks in animation history. Every note was recorded live. No overdubs, no second chances, just pure jazz virtuosity captured in real time. When you hear that music now, you're hearing the exact performance from that one October day, a day when 6 musicians created something that would define autumn for generations. What made this special different from every Halloween production that would follow was its complete integration into Peanuts canon. Charlie Brown, Lucy Van Pelt, Linus, Sally, and Snoopy all appear exactly as Schulz drew them in the daily strips. Same personalities, same quirks, same relationships. The great pumpkin mythology that Linus introduces here shows up in later comic strips, books, and specials. This wasn't a throwaway TV movie to cash a network check. Schulz was world-building, adding permanent mythology to his universe. The pumpkin patch became as essential to Peanuts canon as Snoopy's doghouse, Lucy's psychiatric booth, or Schroeder's toy piano. Linus waiting for presents from a mystical gourd became Peanuts history, referenced and revisited across decades. when a creator takes his holiday special seriously enough to make it canon, you know he's playing the long game. And somehow, Schulz accomplished all of this in just 25 minutes, barely longer than one episode of The Office. In less time than your average commute, this special became a cultural cornerstone that's endured for nearly 6 decades. No bloat, no filler, no unnecessary subplots about Peppermint Patty's identity crisis. Just tight storytelling that hits every emotional beat with surgical precision. You get heartbreak when Sally misses Trick, or treating because she trusted her brother. Hope when Linus believes despite relentless mockery from everyone around him. Crushing disappointment when he realizes he's been fooled by his own faith again. Then, Schulz wraps it with just enough warmth to send you home, happy but thoughtful. Modern streaming would have stretched this into a 40-minute slog, with mandated subplots about Woodstock's existential crisis and Snoopy's backstory. The real genius was in what Schulz didn't do. The special has carried a TVG certificate since day one. No caveats, no asterisks, no acceptable for its time disclaimers, no questionable jokes that make modern viewers cringe. Just pure, wholesome storytelling that works for any generation. Schulz never talked down to children like they were miniature idiots who needed everything dumbed down. But he never felt the need to shock them with inappropriate humor either. He trusted that sincerity and humor could coexist in the same frame without gimmicks or edge. This approach created something genuinely timeless. Wholesomeness without condescension, sentiment without manipulation. It became a lost art form that modern creators still struggle to recapture. The special proved that you could respect children's intelligence while maintaining complete innocence. At the heart of everything, there's one fact that makes the whole special work. Linus actually believes in the Great Pumpkin. Not as a joke, not as a bit to get attention, not because he's mentally unstable. He genuinely, sincerely, passionately believes, even when everyone mocks him relentlessly. Lucy mocks him. Charlie Brown mocks him. Sally eventually turns on him. Literally, everyone tells him he's wrong and stupid. That's what makes adults cry when they watch it now. Faith in the face of ridicule. Hope despite repeated disappointment. Belief when the entire world says you're delusional. Schulz understood something profound that most writers miss. Childhood isn't about being right or having all the answers. It's about having the courage to believe in something bigger than yourself, even when belief makes you vulnerable. The broadcast history tells its own story about American television. Over its lifetime, the special has been broadcast on CBC, CBS, and later ABC. A journey that spans decades and reflects the entire evolution of television itself. It's been rebroadcast, syndicated, recorded on VHS by parents with shaky hands, burned to DVDs, and immortalized across 4 generations of living rooms. Few pieces of media can claim such enduring presence in American homes year after year. It survived network changes, format shifts from standard to HD, cultural upheavals, and the death of appointment television. Every October, it came back like clockwork, as reliable as autumn leaves and pumpkin spice, because it tapped into something genuinely timeless. Then, 2020 happened. For 54 consecutive years, half a century, it's The Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown aired on broadcast television every October without fail. Apple TV Plus swooped in like Lucy, pulling the football away from Charlie Brown at the last second. It became an Apple TV Plus exclusive, ending over half a century of free over-the-air tradition in one corporate decision. A beloved public ritual, something that belonged to everyone regardless of income, became a streaming bargaining chip, an exclusive content bullet point in a corporate presentation. The special that once united generations in living rooms across America became another casualty of the streaming wars. But whether you watch it on CBS, ABC, or Apple, with varying degrees of frustration, the magic hasn't faded one bit. That's the real test of a classic. Does it survive its own distribution? This one does. Think about what this 25-minute cartoon actually accomplished. It invented an entire genre. Every Halloween special you've ever watched, from Rugrats to The Simpsons to whatever Netflix is churning out, owes its existence to Linus, sitting in that pumpkin patch. The ratings from that first broadcast proved that October wasn't just a dead zone between summer and Christmas. It was prime real estate waiting to be claimed. Before the Great Pumpkin, networks treated Halloween like a minor holiday barely worth acknowledging. After it, Halloween became appointment television. An entire industry of seasonal programming was born from one sincere kid believing in something invisible. The cultural impact went beyond television. The Great Pumpkin himself became part of American mythology. Not Schulz's mythology, but actual American folklore. Kids who never read a single Peanuts comic strip know about the Great Pumpkin. He's referenced in other shows, mentioned in conversations, used as shorthand for sincere but misguided belief. Schulz created a new Halloween icon as recognizable as witches and ghosts. That original Canadian premiere on October 26, 1966, launched something that transcended its medium. This wasn't just a cartoon for kids to watch while parents made dinner. It was a cultural revolution wrapped in autumn leaves and jazz piano. A meditation on faith disguised as children's entertainment. A philosophical treatise hidden inside a holiday special. The fact that children sent real candy to Charlie Brown proves something essential. This special made fictional characters feel more real than most actual people on television. Kids didn't just watch Charlie Brown get rocks. They felt his disappointment so deeply that they tried to fix it with their own Halloween candy. That's not just good storytelling. That's emotional alchemy. When Vince Guaraldi walked out of that Desilu studio on October 4th, he'd created more than a soundtrack. He'd composed the sound of American autumn. Those piano notes don't just accompany the special. They've become the musical signature of October itself. You can't separate them from falling leaves, from jack-o'-lanterns, from the feeling of Halloween approaching. The 2 Emmy nominations in 1967 meant more than recognition. They meant legitimacy. Animation wasn't just Saturday morning filler anymore. It could compete with a live-action drama, with variety shows, with everything the networks considered serious television. The Academy saw what Schulz had done. He'd elevated the entire medium, giving animated specials the same respect as any other programming. But here's what really matters. After nearly 60 years, the special still works exactly as intended. Modern kids watch Linus wait in that pumpkin patch and feel the same emotions their grandparents felt. The same sympathy for Charlie Brown, the same frustration with Lucy, the same secondhand embarrassment for Sally, the same grudging respect for Linus's unwavering faith. That 25-minute runtime becomes more impressive with each passing year. In an era of bloated content and endless streaming series, this special proves that perfect storytelling doesn't need extra time. Every scene serves a purpose. Every line moves the story forward. Every moment earns its place. There's no fat to trim because there was never any fat to begin with. The TV G rating tells another story. For nearly 6 decades, this special has remained completely unchanged. No scenes cut for modern sensibilities. No dialogue updated for contemporary audiences. No disclaimers added about outdated attitudes, because there's nothing to fix. Schulz created something so pure that it transcends its era entirely. Think about how rare that is. How many pieces of 1960s media can you show to a modern child without any context or explanation? Without any moments that make you cringe or require historical footnotes? This special exists outside of time, as relevant in 2024 as it was in 1966. The Apple TV Plus exclusive deal in 2020 represents something darker than just corporate maneuvering. It's the privatization of cultural memory. For 54 years, any family with a television could watch this special for free. Rich or poor, urban or suburban, everyone had equal access to this piece of American culture. Now, it sits behind a paywall, available only to those who can afford another streaming subscription. But even that can't diminish what Schulz accomplished. The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, wasn't just successful, it was revolutionary. It proved that children's entertainment could be art, that sincerity could triumph over cynicism, that 25 minutes could contain more emotional truth than most feature films. Every element worked in perfect harmony. Schulz's writing that never condescended, Guaraldi's jazz that elevated animation to high art, the voice actors who made these characters breathe, the animators who translated Schulz's simple lines into moving poetry. Together, they created something that shouldn't exist, a perfect holiday special that improves with age. The children who sent candy to Charlie Brown understood something that adults had forgotten. That believing in something, even something impossible, even something everyone else mocks, is an act of courage. Linus in that pumpkin patch isn't just waiting for the great pumpkin. He's defending the right to believe in magic, in wonder, in possibilities beyond the visible world. That's why this special endures. Not because of nostalgia, though there's plenty of that. Not because of tradition, though it's become one. It endures because it captures something essential about being human. The need to believe in something greater, even when belief brings disappointment. The courage to stay sincere in a cynical world. The faith to wait in the pumpkin patch, even when everyone thinks you're foolish. It's the Great Pumpkin. Charlie Brown was more than just the first Halloween special. It was a statement of purpose. Animation could make you think. Children's entertainment could contain complex themes. Holiday specials could be art. 25 minutes could change television forever. And sometimes, just sometimes, the most sincere pumpkin patch really is the most worthy of a visit.